Today we're going to work on, I have to break these up a little bit, so there's going to be some pauses in between. Mostly therapeutic stuff today. We're going to use the turbo sliders. Those are your two washcloths. So you have your two washcloths, get those. If you've got a towel or a small blanket or something that you can roll up, what this is going to be used for is sort of a pad underneath the hip. We've got, this is something that I always pick up if I see them at yard sales or see them some kind of discount store. You get one of these soft weighted balls, very, very nice. They're actually good for back stretching. You can get a hold of a block. You can find these at yard sales. Another really good place to look for exercise equipment is at Salvation Army. A lot of times stuff shows up there. Obviously, you know, your friends and family have a lot of unused exercise equipment they'll give you. And there's another one. Both of these I think I picked up discount. This one is, doesn't say how much it is. Probably feels like about 7 or 8 pounds. This one's 1. No. Anyway, these are great to roll out your back with and put it right in that nice little pressure spot, and very, very forgiving. A little bit easier than using a tennis ball. So we're going to use the washcloths. We'll do some shoulder work on the back, shoulder work on the front. Also using the washcloths to open up the hips and then shoulders. But first we're going to start out with a pelvic clock. So the concept is that you have 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. This is very detailed work, and a lot of times it'll be a little bit challenging to get in the beginning. You just have to be a little patient. You come down to a fairly neutral position. So neck is going to be long. If you need to, you can always take something, put it underneath the head. Very nice, actually, because then if you're not straining, and depending on how deep you are through the chest, if you're not straining to hold the head, or if the head isn't going back, you put it in a neutral position with a little bit of a rise. It makes it very comfortable. So I'm laying down. My low back is in neutral posture. So for me, it's hovering off the mat about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. I'm going to carry my low back right back down the floor. So I'm going to tilt in the pelvis just like this. So 12 o'clock is going down to the floor. And again, when I look at and I imagine that clock is just like that, belly's pulled flat. I'm going to carry my low back down to the floor, and I take 6 o'clock to the floor. That would be my tailbone, so that puts a big arch in my back. Low back goes down the floor, that's 12. I got 6, and I have 12, 6, 12, 6, 12. So just rocking between an arched back and a flat imprinted spine. Now if I got 9 o'clock on my left side, left hip lifts up a little bit, but I don't want to press so much in that left leg. I want that left hip just to lift straight up. Another thing that will happen is you'll crimp here on the side, that left hip will come in. That's where you're showing that you don't have as much development or as much control. And then of course I have my, my 9 o'clock over here lifts up. That was actually my 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock floats up, 9 o'clock floats up, 3 o'clock lifts up, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Now obviously there's going to be some action in the legs, but it's not really about a large motion. It's pretty detailed work. So I like to take my index fingers, put them right on my hip bones, carry my low back to the floor, so I scoop coming to 12. Then I have my tailbone go towards the floor, big arch in the back. Feet are flat on the floor, take the low back down on the floor, and take the pelvis forward, and rock back and forward. And again, I'm supported across the hips. My feet are on the floor. There's no tension in my upper back or my neck. So I rock back and forth, trying to get a little bit of a release. This is really a nice little exercise in order to warm up the back. Belly's pulled flat. My feet are flat on the floor. I also have my feet fairly wide, so I don't have to, if I have them close, I have to hold them together. You get that little tremor of truth going. So I'm fairly wide. Take the low back to the mat. I also have my knees going straight up towards the sky. Let's come back down. We'll do that 9 o'clock and that 3 o'clock. Now come back to neutral. Just your right hip lifts up just a little bit. Left hip lifts up a little bit. Right hip's up, left hip. Depending on how mobile you are, maybe you only get a little bit of a lift. Right hip lifts up, left hip, right hip, left hip, right hip. And again, I'm trying to take the hip straight up. It's a very, very small movement. Right hip, left hip, right hip, left hip, right hip, left hip, right hip, left hip. Now I'll work a little pattern. So I can take my tailbone to the floor, low back comes to the mat. Tailbone to the floor, low back comes to the mat. Tailbone, low back, tailbone, low back. Now, right hip lifts up 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Now, if I can find a little rotational pattern where 12 comes up, 9 comes up, 6 comes up, 3 comes up, 12 o'clock. Then 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Then go the reverse. 12 o'clock, right hip, pelvis, left, top, and back to the top, left hip, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9, 6, 3, 12, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12. Belly's pulled flat the whole time, but not sucked up underneath the rib cage. It's just turned on just enough so that you feel an engagement in your low back is supported. This is a great exercise. You'll find that in the beginning, this can be really challenging. This is a great exercise to do if you've been out doing something, your low back feels fragile. That was for me in the beginning of doing my Pilates work and my yoga. It's like a lot of times there'd be entire weeks when I just felt like I was on the edge of something popping or breaking down. So again, as you go the gross movements, like back and forth, just like that. Good. Just kind of get that release and that relax. Another great thing to do when you're here, when you're done with that, have your feet come together, have your knees come together, and just hold this. And then eventually, you can feel a little bit of a tremor going, just like that. Nothing wrong with that. That's a release. There is a great series of therapeutic exercise that I'll find the link to, and I'll put them in the description of this one with the pelvic clock that you can find online. And a lot of times if you just have your feet apart and just sit here, you're doing anything, right? You're watching television or you're listening to, you're having a conversation. When you feel those legs going, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just your body trying to figure out where you are in space, and it's actually a very, very good release. All right, so bring your knees in, just rock it on that low back. You'll feel a little bit of warmth in the low belly when you do the pelvic clock. If actually, I'll come up and I'll do a little bit more from the side. So again, the same thing. Low back comes to the mat, press. Take the tailbone down, low back, press, low back, press. Legs going to have a little action in them, but I'm trying to keep it more about that low back and that belly, rocking back and forth. And of course, I'm kind of exaggerating the speed. You don't have to do it this fast. Now that right hip floats up just a little bit. That's 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Again, as I said before, I want to keep this distance as even as I can on both sides. So I'm not bringing my left hip in towards that right rib cage, or right hip in towards the right rib cage. Trying to keep it as long as I can there. So it's not a big gesture. It's not like big jam, up, 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 left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right, left. Again, we go back at 12 o'clock, left, right, right side, 12 o'clock, left side, tailbone, right, top, left, bottom, right, top, then reverse, top, right, bottom, left, top, right, bottom, left. Again, go through that. You work out your own patterns. You go back and forth, up and down. Work with a little bit, see how it feels. All right, so doing more of some of this work where, again, maybe you've been out doing something, you feel a little bit fragile. And I like this one. I've used this for people who've had like big hip issues or mobility issues in the legs. Sometimes when you're really challenged and from injury, there's a gripping in the body, and that's something that you're trying to get over. So hands are back. If you need to lean on your forearms, if you don't have any mobility, this is a great one for, I use this one for my dad after he had his stroke. We didn't have, and I think I just had him slide his feet on the carpet with socks on, creating kind of an interesting static problem. But so let the legs fall out, bring your knees in, so you have your knees nice and wide, just your right heel just slides up, super simple. And have that left leg go out. I want to make sure I'm not dropping down into my shoulders. So if I need a bolster behind me, this is a good exercise for, again, like you've been, I don't know, some kind of run situation, just sending the legs in and out. Bellies pull flat. Good. You should go this way so you can see it. Knees are wide, pulling apart. Virtually no tension in this whatsoever. Legs go out. And of course, you can have your legs go straight up and down. Very, very simple work. And of course you do that, just back and forth. And that just gets a little bit of mobility going on the hips. Very, very simple. Along the same lines, I'm going to come on up. And if I have hip issues, and a lot of times I'll see this in class when we do a certain exercise, if I have hip issues, gripping in the body, if I roll up a towel and I put it, we're going to do a shoulder one first and we'll move to the hips. If I roll up a towel, maybe even a couple towels, lift you up a little bit, so again it's going to not put you into a really deep opening. So let's say I want to open up my shoulder. I got a shoulder injury. I'm going to roll up a towel, put underneath my left shoulder. I put my left hand on a washcloth, all super cheap ways to get this work. So put that underneath the shoulder, head is on the hand, and just working as much range as I possibly can with that left hand over the top of the head. I've got a little bit of support. Take it back. Take it right on up. So our physios a lot of times will have us do this right up against the wall. You can do this on your front, obviously, like I'm doing, trying to get that mobility. If I need to build this up more, I get a pillow, I can put it underneath here. So if I'm coming back from some kind of shoulder injury, I just hold there and I can do that. Very, very passive, very relaxed way to open up that shoulder, find my range of motion. Supported on the hand, obviously, and on the shoulder. Try to keep a little bit more on the right side. And this is fairly an easy way to try to get as much pain-free movement as possible. So I'm on my back. Depending on where I want to go with this, I can put that again on there, get really close to the edge, take it over the top. So in this situation, it's like my biggest problem here is maybe I don't have that, I can't take the arm back too far, so I build it up, take it over the top of the head as far as I can, trying to find that mobility, opening up. And so you're thinking, yeah, I could do this with my hip too. I can take my hand out on that, over the top of the head, take it back down. I'm working for as much mobility as I can. So I take that arm over the top of the head, bring it back down. You experiment with this. This is a nice way to get a little bit of shoulder opening. Again, you don't even have the same stresses as you would like naturally with gravity. Good. Now working that same idea with the hip. So perhaps, and all of us, all of our hips are different. you may never be able to have a deep hip opening going forward or going out to the side. It could just be just the way that your hips are built. And we're not very uniform in terms of our build. So you have that build up, the blanket, the towel, whatever, underneath my left hip. I put the washcloth underneath the knee and the foot, just like this. And again, I have my left hip supported, left leg goes back, left knee comes up as high as I can get it towards my left elbow, and on up, supported the entire time. This is going to help me find a little bit of range of motion again. I have that hip bolstered. If I need more, get a little bit closer, support the hip even higher. Very passive way to open up. Nice and easy. And then eventually, getting rid of the support, opening up the hip, bring the knee up as high as I can. We do this one in class where the knee is hovering off the floor. I notice a lot of people are very guarded when they do this. Looking on up. All right, so you get the idea. Obviously, take it over the other side. Shoulders. So we get back into shoulders. You can do this when standing up. I'm going to do it sitting up, just because I don't have the room in the home studio. Come forward for this one. May still not even have it. All right, so get a hold of a towel. I have to float that. All right, I have to chase camera. Sorry about that. Okay, for shoulder opener. I have my towel. A lot of you have done this with me in class. We forget about it all the time. Shoulders rounding forward. So there's my range right there. And I promise you this isn't just a little trick. All right, so I get my range going. Now I'm going to choke up on that strap or towel, and then I pull it apart, release, pull apart, release, pull apart, release, pull, release, pull, release. Shoulders come away from the ears, pull, release, pull, release. I choke up on it just a little bit more, shorten that distance, then pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Take my arms back just a little bit, see if it's opened up a bit. Still way too tight for me. Good. And I pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, 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 pull. Now I start to open up just a little bit more. Got just a little bit, not quite enough. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. And you can work on this if you've got the time, and you can break it up. You can do like 10, 15 minutes at a time. And eventually, your arms will start to go back just a little bit more. Be shocked at how far you can go in this. Pull, release, takes a little patience. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. One side's a little bit more open than the other. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Get a little bit of stretch. Pull, release, pull, 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 pull. I can go back just a little bit farther. Good. I promise you. I don't think I have enough time to do this, so go all the way through. Hard as that. Almost. Pull, pull, pull,
looking at the video, I can see myself, as awkward as that is, but I can also see how asymmetrical I am in it. I keep leaning over to one side. Pull, pull, pull. Almost there. Pull, and I'm not letting it slide. Almost. Did this in a workshop, or did a workshop where we did a shoulder workshop years and years ago. Of course, we're all doing this, and it was amazing how close I could get my hands together. And if you're not doing things, you're not staying active and really focusing on a lot of this stuff, a lot of times you'll let it go. Good. Oh, almost through. Pull, 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 pull. Just pull, release, pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. Get through. Good. So that's proof it works. And again, I promise you, I'm not letting the towel slide through my hands. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Right through the center. Pull, 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 pull. Get a little stretch. Pull, pull, pull. It's kind of like watching paint dry. Good. You should be doing this on your own. Obviously, we're all going to be different on this one too. Good. Take it on back. There we go. Excellent. Good. So I'm going to work on that actually later. So we worked on the pelvic clock, a great little back release. Let's see what else I have on this list. Also going to be posting this. I got the GoPro set up as well. So pelvic clock. So you imagine 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Used to be the description would be you would have a teacup with a saucer. You would tilt the tea towards 6 o'clock, tilt the tea back to 12, 6, 12, 6, but not spilling it. And then, you know, if you need that as a metaphor, that's great. 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So you're thinking of the pelvis as being a bowl and working from there. Great release. A lot of this work, when we do it as a release, you would think that, oh, I'll do this for 5-10 minutes. It's like you've got to actually do it for half an hour to an hour. You can get up, go do something else in between, but if you want it to really set, it's like you have to put some time in. It's like you're doing things all day long, you're sitting for hours, or you're standing in an odd position or in some kind of static hold for hours, so don't expect to get things just like that from it. So we did the pelvic clock, turbo sliders, shoulders on the back, shoulders on the front, towel, shoulders, and strap. That's pretty much all I've got for you. Like I say, I'm going to break this down and put these on the regular YouTube channel with the higher quality GoPro, and go do something else now. Go back to one of the other videos I have, and you can do another workout for another 25 minutes. Thank you very much. Cheers.